Hey everybody, meteorologist Mike Griffith here to talk about the weather for a little while. Once again, it is July 12th now, and it is 2017, and we're looking at the infrared satellite across much of the United States. In fact, we're looking at all of the United States here, and you probably figured that out by looking at the map yourself. And lots of activity here across the extreme southeast part of the United States, across Georgia and across Florida, and lots of activity there with thunderstorms dissipating as the sun went down, but they will be back tomorrow, so expect more storms and showers and rain and lightning here across much of Florida, including South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and even the western parts, including Tampa. Um, this is a stationary front that's kind of stalled out across the Gulf Coast and the eastern Carolinas. It's a leftover frontal boundary right in here that's just kind of chilling out, not really moving anywhere at all, and it's just going to sit there and touch off a bunch of showers, thunderstorms, and a bunch of instability. Up here in Pennsylvania, we have this little mesoscale system, which is a small scale system that we call it, moving through overnight, so it will bring some rain and possibly some lightning and some rumbles of thunder to the area, to Philly, through the morning hours, early morning hours, and maybe even for the morning rush. So expect to get wet and expect a little bit of rain to fall out there through the early morning hours. And looking out here in the upper Midwest and across Minnesota, more activity is flaring up. Tonight, there's going to be some pretty good light shows out here with a lot of lightning, some hail, and some wind moving through with this system here as it tracks eastward. More activity out here in the Four Corners as a high pressure system is in control, but it's starting to break down and it's starting to cause a lot of showers and thunderstorms out here in the mountains as it breaks down. Denver is also included on this. Phoenix is going to start to cool off a little bit, as is much of the Southwest, getting a little bit of a break from the heat that they're in, because we're going to start to get more into a pattern where it's a trough in the east, and then we're going to start to see a little bit more of a ridge or trough in the west, and we're going to start to see more of a ridge in the east here, which means it's going to get hot all up in here, and then it's going to get cooler a little bit as we go into the next, take it into the next week or so here across the United States. Let's look at the tropics here and look at what we're going to be having here. This is the leftover remnants of Tropical Depression 4 that made the news over the past 2 weeks. That's him right here. It would have been Don. It might have been called Don at one point, not really for long. And this is going to track due westward, possibly right into Fort Lauderdale and eastern Miami, and bring some showers and storms. It's heavy rains here across eastern Florida, the eastern tip of Florida. Anywhere in here, expect heavy rains over the next 5 to 7 days or so. So expect to start to get wet there, maybe even Thursday, actually. But it's going to linger over there for a while, and it's going to be a long-term period of rain there in southern Florida. And right here is another tropical wave that's kind of gathering a little bit of moisture here down just off of the coast of South America. Not going to really pose a threat to land, not going to really develop or do anything. Lots of dry air in here, and also a lot of dry air in here, so it's not really favorable for any type of development. And other than that, the tropics are looking to be really quiet. Okay, now we can move on to the models and what we're going to be seeing throughout the rest of this week. And our showers and storms will continue across the southeast, as we can see down here in this panel. This is precipitation. This is the surface. This is cloud cover, and this is upper level energy at about 18,000 feet up in the atmosphere. There goes a hurricane out there in the Pacific. Not going to really bring any news. It's not going to be any threat to land or anything like that. There is going to be a ridge out here just east of the Carolinas, sitting offshore into Thursday, and it's going to warm us up here in Charlotte. That's where I live, and that's where I send all these videos and all these forecasts from. I live just west of Charlotte, and I'm not from here. I'm from Philly, but this is where I live right now. So a little bit of a Bermuda high out here, going to keep keeping us warm. Typical July pattern, nothing really unusual or nothing to get excited about here. That high pressure system remains over the southeast coast into Friday, bringing some pretty warm temperatures up here in the Philly and also Virginia. I think Virginia is going to be getting the hottest of all this, especially anywhere south of D.C., Richmond, and into Norfolk area. They're going to be getting the hottest part of this because Philly is going to be on the northern edge of this high pressure system. So I'm not thinking they're going to be in the core of it all. But the Carolinas and the coastal Carolinas are going to start getting to be hot around the Thursday or Friday into next week as well, or this week, I should say. And it's just going to kind of sit there and not really do a whole lot. It's going to be typical July-like weather. Not a whole lot going on. People splashing in the pools, enjoying the beach, enjoying the sea breeze. Other than that, few random pop-up thunderstorms. Nothing really severe, nothing organized, nothing widespread. Even hotter out here in the west as we go into later this week because they're going to be in a ridge pattern. Here comes a little disturbance across the northeast here heading into this Friday and Saturday, which could bring some severe thunderstorms across Pennsylvania, New York, and maybe even up in northern New England, maybe down in the D.C. As the southern extent of that disturbance moves through. And then we're in a trough pattern once again on the 18th. So it's going to be warm and hot here in the east, but just not going to be quite as warm as it was last year. And it's not going to be extremely blistering hot as we go into Saturday and Sunday, because once again we go into a trough pattern here and the west remains in a ridge pattern. So it's not going to be quite as hot. We're not going to see hundreds here on the East Coast as we head into this weekend. Here comes another slice of energy coming out of Canada, touching off more rain and more showers and thunderstorms, some of them severe once again into the 17th, which is Monday, next Monday, and that trough moves into the east, keeping us cooler than average and rainy across the east. And the pattern is going to be cold fronts that really just kind of push down into the southeast and then move just right offshore here and then stall, bringing lots of rain and storms into Florida and also the Gulf Coast like we've been seeing. That is going to be the pattern. Out here is a big upper level high in the central part of the country. Going to be very hot out there in Larned, Kansas and Wichita, Kansas, and much of the central part of the country is going to be baking in the heat. So make sure you keep your radiators in your car flushed because you don't want them overheating with all the heat out there in the coming week or two into the 18th and 19th especially. So it was going to cool down out there in the West Coast temporarily, just as the heat moves to the east, just for Wednesday and Thursday this week, and then it shifts back to the west again as we go into the weekend, and then next week the ridge of high pressure shifts into the central part of the country here, and then we're looking at a big upper level high, which is totally normal for this time of year into the 19th, 18th, 19th of this month. And then that's what we can expect to see as far as the pattern. Again, it's going to remain unsettled here after the heat in the northeast U.S. Severe thunderstorms could be breaking the heat as this disturbance pushes a front south and east and down into the south here. And it's just going to be remaining unsettled, as you can see on the GFS output, the precipitation across much of the southeast. And the flow is going to kind of be like this, so it's going to be humid as well as random late day showers and thunderstorms. Typical July pattern here, nothing really to see to write home about. It's not going to be excessively hot except for maybe Thursday and Wednesday across the mid-Atlantic states, but then that kind of vaporizes as yet another little bit of a moderating outbreak, or more of a mitigating outbreak to the heat comes out of the northeast, and that's what we're going to be seeing over the next 2 weeks or so. And that is your forecast here. I'm meteorologist Mike Griffith for East Coast Weather Association, also US Weather Pro. Make sure you like us both on Facebook, because I'm both on there. And I'm working with more than one meteorologist on both of these pages, so make sure you like us, because maybe we're going to combine one day, or maybe we're not. Maybe we're going to stay separate, but I'm on both of those pages, so make sure you give those both a like. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and enjoy your day.